Years ago in Nottingham, Robin Hood and his lover, Marian Fitzwalter, together exposed the corruption of Sheriff William de Windenell. After the exposure, King Richard the Lionheart rewarded them for their bravery and called on Robin to join his army and fight overseas. Marian is then forced to join a sanctuary in Kirklees for protection until Robin returns. Presently in Nottingham, Marian goes into the forest and kills a deer for a duo who hardly get food to eat in the woods. They show appreciation for it, but while she turns her back to leave, the woman holds her back, apologizing and telling her to run, whereas the man pushes her away not to tell her anything. At that moment, guards of the land surround her to arrest her for killing the animal without seeking permission first. They set her up to kill the animal in order to get her arrested. After numerous attempts to capture her, Marian defeats them and tries to take cover. Upon reaching there, she raises a compartment underground where she keeps her clothes. She then changes into a white gown and runs back to the sanctuary. Prioress Elizabeth, the head of the sanctuary, is usually lenient when it comes to matters concerning Marian. Sister Agnes, on the other hand, doesn't tolerate her when she leaves the sanctuary without doing her duties. She calls her lazy and even wonders why Prioress Elizabeth accepted her. Just then, the mailman appears to deliver letters to the sisters from Nottingham, and for the first time, Marian gets a message. Looking at the message, she smiles and heads into the building. This message is definitely from someone special. Prioress also receives a message from the sheriff. The message isn't a good one. King Richard the Lionheart is dead. The prioress immediately goes to Marian to inform her about the news and suggests she should go and look for her lover, Robin, since many soldiers will leave the war to go after their families. For 3 years, Marian hasn't seen Robin. The permission the prioress gives her makes her very happy as she leaves the sanctuary and heads to Ashgate. Marian makes it to Ashgate and settles in an old and abandoned building where she and Robin used to live. She gets back some memories as she sees some items she once used still in the building. In no time, Robin shows up. The two share some good moments until Marian pushes Robin away, saying he abandoned her to study the Bible and pray for 3 years and never bothered to send for her. Robin then explains to her that they were very busy fighting a war, and besides, his location was very far from her. Hold on, isn't love meant to know no distance? Like lovers do, they make up and plan their next move. King Richard gifted Robin a piece of land in France, and for that reason, he suggests they build a house over there, make an animal farm, and get married. Marian says nothing about it and rather tells Robin he'll look good being a nun. The next day, Marian and Robin journey on to meet Little John, a friend, who also went with him overseas. On their way, Marian stops by a stream to wash her hair and get some water to drink. She takes off her cover and hangs her spear-tip bracelet on a branch. As soon as she progresses to fetch the water, 2 men in metal masks appear behind her, hit her on the head and tie her up. The moment she regains consciousness, she reaches out to her bracelet and cuts the ropes on her hand towards freedom. She finds that a green plant's branch is broken and assumes that they used that root. Moving on, she traces their footprint, finds a red strand, and in no time, she finds them. She falls for a trap and soon gets captured. Marian starts a fight with the guards, and when their head sees this, he brings her aside to kill her. Just when he lifts his sword, de Windenell comes in and stops him. He is back from exile and prepared to take his revenge on Robin. De Windenell seeks to start his revenge on Marian. He gets hold of her and pulls out his sword to slaughter her while Robin watches. Robin, planning quickly to get hold of a mask, aims it at his head before the sword can even make a mark on her. Marian quickly releases Robin. They both fight the guards, and in the course of defeating the men, de Windenell stabs Robin from his back. He then sends his men to go after Marian and Robin before they escape. They still held their plan of meeting up first with Little John and then continuing to France. De Windenell's men meet Little John on their way. They first ask him politely to get out of their way, but when he doesn't, Gisborne orders them to take him down, which flips right in their faces as he rather takes all of them down. Soon, Marian and Robin find Little John. Little John takes them to his home when they tell him de Windenell is after them. Marian then requests Little John to get them a horse and a cart to make their travel faster. He agrees, saying his cousin who lives near the river has one, so he'll quickly get it for them. As soon as he leaves, Marian also takes her weapons and heads back into the woods to give him cover. De Windenell meets Gisborne and the others. They apologize for losing Marian and Robin and describe to him the man that beat them up. When they describe the man, he realizes that it's Little John. De Windenell then orders them to get more men on their side and head towards the east, to the river. De Windenell's men slowly approach the traps Marian is setting for them. She successfully traps one, remaining 4. She then makes an appearance to lure them towards the direction of another trap, and that also works. Now, Gisborne is leading the group. He is about to fall for another trap. He steps on a wooden slab, which activates a bundle of firewood landing on his chest. When they turn back to stop following her, she goes back to Little John's hideout, but Little John isn't back from his cousins. While Marian is making a meal for Robin, she hears a whistle outside and predicts that it must be Little John with the cart. She steps out only to see that Little John is tied up. De Windenal had trapped him. They enter the house at the double for protection. Later, they hear De Windenal's voice saying Robin should come out, and if he does so, he might let Marian go free. Marian replies him saying they are not going to move a single step. He orders his men to bring the throwers to attack them. Marian then figures out a plan to cover up for Robin while he escapes. She lights up a barrel with weeds and pours it on them, while Marian tries to free Little John. De Windenal spots Robin running out of the house into the woods, and immediately, he throws a spear at him. Little John buys Marian and Robin some more time as they escape. Marian struggles in the woods with Robin and finally then takes Robin to the sanctuary. Sister Agnes doesn't want to take them in because they will put everyone's life at risk if De Windenal finds out they are there. Marian pleads with her to accept them because they have nowhere else to go, and finally she accepts. The prioress tells Marian she thought it wise bringing him over, but they will have to protect themselves in case De Windenal shows up. She then sends Marian to go for help from Delek, the new sheriff, and promises to take care of Robin while she's gone. Marian heads on to look for the sheriff. Back at the sanctuary, Sister Agnes is getting ready to stitch Robin's wound, but the prioress tells her she'll do it herself. Before long, Marian reaches Deleka's zone. In the beginning, they stop her from seeing the sheriff, but the moment they hear De Windenal's name, they call the sheriff out. Just when the king is making orders to bring more of his men and weapons to help them, De Windenal's men take him down. Marian then maneuvers her way back into the sanctuary. Upon reaching there, Marian finds out the prioress has locked Robin in the room and won't let anyone into it. Marian breaks the door open and sees Robin lying helplessly. Seeing this, Sister Agnes proceeds to fetch some medicines to try and bring back Robin, but immediately she gets to the door, De Windenal stabs her. De Windenal then calls out his cousin, and interestingly the prioress appears with an evil smile on her face. She had all this planned out to help his cousin get his revenge. Marian then takes a knife, stabs it on De Windenal's back and runs into the woods, leaving Robin's body. There, she finds the father. The father invites her to sit beside him and calls Brother Common, who Marian knows as Tuck, to dish out some food for her. As soon as the father leaves to prepare his readings, Brother Common tells Marian that Robin isn't dead. Instead, he is captured and will be killed tomorrow, together with Little John. Hearing this, Marian quickly heads to Ashgate to armor herself and continues her journey before the sun rises the next day. At the place where Robin and Little John will be executed, the prioress is dressing De Windenal's wound when Simon, the warden of the new sheriff, brings him the sheriff's necklace. They then step out to start the execution. Surrounding them are all the people who assisted him in the process of trapping Robin. De Windenal then orders Gisborne to bring Robin and Little John out. While everyone's attention moves to Robin and Little John, Marian takes down one guard. She then takes another one down. Tuck also plays a trick on Gisborne and takes him down. Soon, a fight breaks out between Marian and the soldiers. The prioress immediately hands De Windenal a sword to kill Robin quickly before Marian attacks them. Little John sees this and lifts himself up, together with the wood, and hits De Windenal with it. The prioress tries strangling Little John to death, and at that same time, De Windenal also runs into the woods, frightened for his life. Robin frees himself and smashes the prioress' head with an axe. After taking all De Windenal's men down, Marian goes after De Windenal himself. She stirs up a fight with him and gets him onto the ground. When Marian turns her back on him, he quickly gets hold of his sword to kill her, but she predicts his intentions beforehand and stabs him to death. At the end of the movie, Simon goes to King John and presents him with the golden necklace, telling him that De Windenal is finally dead. He then makes Simon the new sheriff and orders him to make preparations for them to move to Nottingham.